Hello there fellow NPCs, I am Scythe, and today we're starting, for real now this time, the good ending of the Slavya path. And yeah, we have done everything right up to this point. So question is if I manage to get to the good and the bad ending in this one episode. We will see. Hopefully, is what will happen. But yeah, let's see what life looks like once we have left Sovyanok for real. For the seventh time now, more or less. And yeah, where life takes us with Slavya, you know. So with that said, let's go. There are dreams that you don't want to wake up from. It's like one is floating down a warm river towards a place far beyond the horizon, blissfully watching the vain world, hidden behind the clouds. The past is left behind, its echoes do not tear your soul. And the future is right there. You just have to reach out. It doesn't matter what is awaiting you there. The very process of immersing yourself in this fairer world of serenity and happiness is itself much more important. I've always believed that the universe was once in this state, and one day we will return to it again. Our life is just a blink of an eye. Just a second in comparison to the universe. The birth and death of stars is a minute, and those of galaxies are hours. But even all of that, all put together, will not even be a day. Nobody thinks of how to live each specific second, so does it really matter what each drop in a stormy river running beyond the horizon of existence does? Very strange sentence, but we'll survive it. I open my eyes and stretch blissfully. I had no desire to stand up as I felt like I was in a perfect bliss, muffled in a blanket. After all, I don't have to go anywhere. As usual, actually. And I don't have any plans. So why shouldn't I just sleep? I rolled over and stared at the old worn wallpaper covering the curved wall. I wonder how long ago the last time they renovated this room was. And why does here have a wallpaper instead of bare wood anyway? Vague, warming bells began ringing somewhere deep in my mind. I threw the blanket away, jumped up and furiously began to look around. Yes, I was in my flat again. At first I was paralyzed. The shock was so strong that my brain was unable to process what was going on. I just stood and gazed on the screen of the monitor on the table opposite of me. I couldn't think. I even forgot to breathe. Finally, my mind began to clear. What happened anyway? I fell asleep on the bus, going to the district center. Yes, something like that. And Slavya was sitting by my side. And now I'm back here. Seems like during the week I spent there in the camp, I had gotten so used to the fact that I'd never returned to my previous life, that now I just have no idea how to react to all this. After all, at first my main wish was to get home. But in the end, everything was like in a bad movie. At last, I had come back, but I am still shocked. No, I felt no fear. I was rather interested and upset. After all, I'd already made up my mind to start a new life with Slavya, leaving all my problems behind. Insults, suffering, self-examination, unfinished affairs and plans for the future. Obviously, that life could not be worse than this one at least. But there's no returning to it now. On the other hand, if someone had told me a week ago that I would be sent into a different world just like that, in the blink of an eye, I would not have believed him. So what makes such a fantastic event happening again so impossible? Moving my legs with difficulty, I went to the kitchen, got a glass of water and returned to the room. The ice-cold liquid with a disgusting aftertaste of bleaching powder revived me to some degree. Now I have to decide what to do next. Suddenly I realized that I could not bear the silence. After turning the computer on, I launched a random song in the player and managed to calm down somewhat. And seriously speaking, what can I do? Recently I realized that absolutely nothing is up to me. By someone's will I was pulled out of my usual world and then sent back. No answers were found during the week in the camp. What's the point in speculating now? I must forget everything that happened, like a bad dream. Maybe those were just hallucinations. I don't really care now. The only thing that prevented me from completely forgetting this short period of my life was Slavya. I recalled her smile and all the time we spent together. From the meeting on the very first day to the night in the forest and our departure from the camp. My heart furiously jumped inside my chest, spreading oppressive pain all throughout my body. I liked her at first sight. So gentle, caring, understanding. Just like that anime heroine. What was her name? The one who helped an antisocial fellow like me deal with depression. And if you think about it, there are no such people in real life. Slavya asked nothing in return, needed no encouragement, never expected to be understood or praised for her work. She was just being herself. A girl that cannot exist in real life. If you think clearly, that's really exactly what she was. It seems like I've seen one single week-long dream. About the pioneer camp, Soviet teenagers and their camp leader, about warm summer nights and gatherings around a fire, about light-hearted children games and simple human joys, about one moment that lasted a week and the everlasting summer. But not just seen. I've been there. I was a part of everything. My eyes unwillingly filled with tears. Not tears of pain or despair, tears of sorrow and bright melancholy. Even if everything is over, I experienced something that most people could never even dream about. Slavya's image flashed in my head, brighter and brighter. I would love so much for her to return from that camp with me. Maybe I have nothing to offer her now, but my entire life is still ahead of me. I guess I learned a lot of useful lessons from these events. I couldn't help thinking that it all seemed too perfect, like it was written according to some simple plan. A loser hero, a fantastic incident and a wonderful transformation. I guess it's not possible. Not in this life. Will I become the person I was before only a day or a week later? Well, it's the most realistic course of events. One thing's for sure, I'll never be able to go back. It doesn't end there, does it? No, exactly. About a month has passed since I returned from Sovyanok, or, to say it more correctly, since I woke up. I've returned to my usual life as a loner, surfing the internet for days, going outside only to shop. As expected, it began to suit me again. But we're hearing the ending song here. Well, obviously, moments of melancholy and depression occurred. A person like me just can't do without them. But they lasted no longer than usual. Except those times when, while sleeping, I returned to that summer, that mysterious camp. But after awakening, I tried to banish these thoughts as soon as possible. After all, what's the point in dreaming of becoming a wizard? Even if miracles happen, and it was proved that they do, they happen completely independent of us. The word sweet doesn't give you a sweet taste, regardless of how often you pronounce it. But nevertheless, something has changed in my existence. Formerly I didn't think ahead, didn't really care how long I would live, whether 1 week or 40 years, but now I looked forward to it with optimism. Yeah, that is exactly what I felt that Slavya represented. That even as long as you are just in life, be happy. She was the force to choosing to be happy. Because I think that is possible. You can choose to be happy. Not if you have depression and shit like that. If you have actual problems with your head, you need to get the right medication first. But once all that shit is taken care of, you can end. Things just is. Things just are. Then you can choose to be happy. And that is what I felt that Slavya represented. To make this choice that I'm not going to suffer. Just because don't do a whole lot of stuff doesn't mean I'm unhappy. I can choose to be happy. I think that is what Slavya represents. Not like I tried to change anything or become a different person, but the world now seemed more understandable, not simple, not friendly, no. Not friendly at all, but just understandable. Before, I just couldn't cope with some events or facts, though I kind of realized that they were there for a reason. Now I started seeing life as something simpler. What happens, happens for the best. Or at least it happens and I can live with it. And if I can't, I'm powerless in that case. I guess I started smiling more often, or at least I didn't carry that look of deep universal frustration 24/7. Even my acquaintances, on the internet obviously, noticed some change in me, and their opinions agreed that these changes are good. Now I think I'm ready to live on, thanks to Sovyonok and its inhabitants. Without them, I wouldn't be able. Yeah. It was the beginning of January. The city had barely recovered from the New Year's hangover. The streets were almost empty during the day, not to mention the nights when the only stranger walking down the street seemed extremely busy with some businesses, rushing somewhere for a reason that couldn't wait. I had no such reason. I just decided to have a little walk. It's necessary to get some fresh air sometimes. A winter's night is the best time to be alone with yourself. I always thought that the true solitude can't be felt in a crowd rather than in a burning hot desert, boundless pain, or on top of a mountain covered with snow. In the stream of people, words, thoughts and aspirations, everyone had their own. Okay, that's a strange sentence. Everyone had their own aim and direction. And I was the only one strolling among them, deserving no attention from others. Maybe they're like vectors, moving in different directions. They never meet at Cartesian coordinates. It's the same thing in here. These people are walking, running in one direction, and I'm dragging along in the other. But did I feel lonely? Before, yes. But now, highly unlikely. In the bright blinding lights of the city, the noise of cars and swirling crowds, I enjoyed a heavenly symphony of silence. I don't understand that sentence. Feels like it's going in opposite directions. But now the situation is slightly different. It's just me in the street. So I am alone, not only with my own self, but within the whole world. Being a sand grain in a desert is not the same thing as being a water drop in an ocean. In the crowd, nobody notices me. Nobody paid any attention, but now everyone who peeks out the window or see me while driving past will think, why can't he just stay home? Maybe he has some urgent matter. Suppose he's mad, or is he just drunk? I never liked standing out from the crowd when it's not appropriate, so opposing society was never an option for me. But now, it was different. As if I tried to tell everybody, look, I can be happy too. You need your TV and your hot chocolate, but I just need the snow, the night, a dark room and a dull monitor screen. Look, and I am not any worse off than you. I felt sadness in my heart, but it was a serene sadness. Do I really need the things that they have and I do not? Maybe I have something much more valuable. That's what she was. Not just choosing to be happy, but being happy with what you have. Not feeling jealousy, essentially. Are they anti-deadly sins? Don't think so. I didn't notice how I came to the bus stop of the 410 route. This brings back memories. I sat down and rummaged my pockets, trying to find cigarettes. However, the pocket was empty. Fine. I crumbled it up and threw it in the bin. Maybe I'll get healthier. A lonely star was shining in the sky. Today, I read on the internet that according to the calculations of scientists, one of the most beautiful astronomical events has already ceased to exist, and we'll see it only decades later. Maybe this star has already exploded as well, and now it's only a beautiful image in the night sky, somewhere near a lost planet on the edge of the galaxy. However, why does one or another thing exist? Is it simply because it's just there, has shape and can be touched? Or is it because we believe that it exists? At first thought, the answer is simple. But on the other hand, even if this star is gone, we can still see its cold light. Maybe it helped someone to get out of the snowy winter forest, gave someone hope, or a bit of warmth to someone else. Could a simple astronomical object that exploded God knows when do all this? Can billions of people believe in something that doesn't really exist? But belief itself never made any object real. At least none that I've ever heard of. The snowfall grew stronger. Now it was a real snowstorm. Midnight. I was about to leave, but suddenly someone emerged from the solid white veil and ran under the bus stop roof. It was clearly a girl, as she had a long ponytail hanging out from the hood. Except we can't see it in this image. That's unfortunate. She stood with her back to me, so I couldn't make out her face. "Excuse me, has the last bus already left?" she asked without turning to me. Where can she be headed to this so late? The 410 must be the most cursed route in this city. Not only does it sometimes take people away to another reality, it can't even arrive when you want it to. There is one more bus coming, just after midnight, I think. Thank you. The smile was clear in her voice. For some time I just sat silently, examining the girl. Finally she spoke. "Where are you going so late? Is it really that interesting for her?" "Just having a walk," I answered thoughtfully. "And you? Are you here for something important?" "Well, not really. Just going home." "Where do you live?" I couldn't help asking. "Far away. Far to the north," she said vaguely. "And I live nearby. It's a good area. I would say there couldn't be a worse one. I didn't have too many options." "You don't like it?" "Don't know. I got used to it by now. I think that people can be happy anywhere they want." "Perhaps. Well, think of it. People live even at the North Pole, in stations I mean. And in the Sahara Desert, and in many other places. It's the people themselves that are the most important." It's difficult to disagree with you. My comment sounded so philosophical that I unconsciously smiled. "You don't sound too honest to me." "Now why would you say that, madam?" She laughed quietly. "I think you're a good person." Now she turned and I realized why her voice, stature and everything else seemed familiar to me. Slavya stood in front of me. For a moment I lost the ability to speak, but just for a moment. Of course it could just be a girl who looks like Slavya from my dream. Or am I experiencing the strongest deja vu? This city is not a pioneer camp. I am not wearing a uniform and it's not summer now. Trying to convince myself that it's just an illusion, I decided to ask a question. "Have we met before?" She carefully inspected me and smiled. "I don't think so. But your face seems familiar. Had you ever been to a pioneer camp as a kid?" "Of course not." She laughed. "When I was born, they'd already been disbanded." Interesting, we did ask this of Uliana as well, but we didn't ask this of Lena and Alyssa. Oh, right. Although, I had a dream recently. She thought for a second. "Me too. I mean, about the pioneer camp. Maybe that is where we met," the girl said seriously. "Possibly. By the way, my name is Slavya. Actually, my full name is Slaviana, but everyone calls me Slavya. You can do that too." I was about to tell her that I know, but then I stopped short. After all, is it that important to know why Slavya from my dream is standing right here, right now in front of me at this frozen stop of the Sharn bus number 410? After all, there are dreams that you don't want to wake up from. And mine is Semyon. What a lovely name. Starts with an S too. Yeah. So you live far away, don't you? Well, not really. She named the district. I thought it would be somewhere in the south. Why? Don't know. Maybe because you look like a pioneer. Oh, you and your pioneers. Slavya laughed. Maybe we wouldn't ever meet if not for them. Why? Her expression became serious. Just a joke. Do you agree that the world exists because we believe in it? That's like some kind of subjective idealism. Slavya thought for a bit. This school of philosophy became close to me recently. Well, I don't know. I'm not that good with these subjects. What are your subjects then? She smiled. Different ones. No doubt. But it's just been a few minutes since we met. But seems like it's been much longer. For for some reason I got the same feeling. An awkward pause followed. The snowfall has eased, but there was still no bus. I looked at my watch and assumed that it won't arrive at all. Slavya seemed to feel even colder by now, as her cheeks grew more red and her hands were now moving frenetically, trying to warm her body. Seems like the 4:10 bus is done for today. I guess, she said sadly. If you want, I started after pulling myself together. What? You can stay at my place. But we've just met. She laughed. She didn't seem frightened even a tiny bit. Okay, that's good, because I was worried about that. Yes, I understand, but it's so cold outside. Aren't you afraid? Slavya looked at me playfully. Me? Should I be? Who knows? Who knows? I just suggested it. I don't think anything of that sort. I started to make excuses. I understand. She laughed. If you don't mind, of course. Even though it seemed impossible, she flushed even more. Should we go? Let's wait a bit longer. Maybe it will arrive. Okay. So, what do you do in your spare time? Slavya asked for after a while. Well, work at home, kinda. I just couldn't tell her that I do nothing. Sounds good. Why? Don't know. You have a lot of free time. You don't have to go anywhere and so on. And you? I asked, trying to change the subject somehow. I'm studying. Getting an ethnographer's degree? What is that? Slavya asked seriously. Never mind. Ethnographer, I don't know what that is either. I'll be an ecologist. Well, a career to be proud of. We chatted about random things and the bus was still nowhere to be seen. It was past 1 already. Time passed by so fast. I guess Slavya understood my thoughts. Shall we go? She smiled. I stood up and headed slowly towards my house. She carefully held on to my arm and looked into my eyes. You know, I'm sure that this year will be better than the previous one. So, are we actually ending up with her, or is that just a one-night sort of thing? Huh. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, content, key points, a prologue and an epilogue. And there is no book, which, if you read it again, will not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. And that means I will start to go through the bad ending. So I'll see you guys real soon. And we are back, and in order to make sure that we don't score enough points with Slavya, we have to go back all the way here, which is at the very end as well. But yeah, we will go through that, and I will make this a bit longer than usual, I guess, because we're going to get that bad ending. So yeah, let's continue. So, first thing we have to do is say, I was just hungry. We're doing this for ourselves, not for Slavya. Oh, really? Yeah, really. Okay, I'll be right back. Much to my surprise, Liana didn't ask any awkward questions. Can we skip this? Yes, we can. And on the next point, we have to say that we have no reason to justify ourselves. I am not standing up for myself. We are standing up to as a team against Olga. I don't know if that is what's going on, but it's something like that. We have no reason to justify ourselves, I replied obnoxiously. Oh, really? Okay then. So you think all this is normal? Fine. She paused for a few moments and turned to Slavya. Go to your cabin. I understand that you are not the one to blame. Yeah, right, maybe. I was putting blame on Slavya as well for this, even though it was my decision all along. Slavya didn't move an inch. She just lowered her eyes and held my hand even more tightly. Slavya! As you can see, she doesn't want to. Yeah, we've seen this, so let's skip to the news parts. Now, it's the new part. We did everything. We still went to the forest, had some funky funny time, and Lena caught us and stuff like that. And now we're going here to pick up our stuff. Look, I still don't understand. What? Asked Slavya without turning. Why don't you want... And how did you expect it to be? Well, I can find a job, rent an apartment. Oh, right. I have asked if I can move in with her. And what can you do? Do you at least have a school leaving certificate? In fact, yes. It's lying somewhere in the closet. Except in a different reality in the future. That's not important here. Why not? If you have a goal, you can overcome any obstacles. Moreover, they are not that big. That's what you think. Maybe you're right, but anyway, I can't understand your reaction. After all, if we just leave, that's all. That's the end. I didn't say that. But it's obvious. Where do you get that idea from? She shouted. Perhaps it was the first time I had seen Slavya like this. Well, let me put it differently. I don't just want to go back to the place where I live. And to communicate with you only by letters or phone, hoping for a chance to meet. It will be hard for me too. Well, what's the problem then? You know, not everything is up to us. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying in the good ending. That even though shit happens, life happens and all that stuff, you can still choose to be happy with where you are in this world. That is what she represents. The choosing to be satisfied and happy. Who is it up to them? Although no one would ever know how right she is better than I. If it was all up to me, I would have never found myself here. There are norms of society, laws, morality, ethics after all. What do those have to do with anything? Are all those that important? If they are not so important to you, they are important to me. Okay. I'm even ready to behave according to your standards, but there is something more important. Maybe, but I can't so suddenly. You don't have much time to think. I paused for a moment to gather my thoughts. I can only offer myself, because it's the only thing I got. Moreover, I don't know what I might happen to me in an hour, but I'm sure that, whatever happens, if I have to start from scratch, I want to start with you. You're speaking so beautifully, but imagine how I feel. For you it's all so simple, but I have my own life that I'm used to, and to change everything just like that? I had one before too, I said softly. What? I'm saying that it's inevitable. Changes are part of life. You cannot live without facing them. Slavya looked thoughtful, stood still for some time, holding her bag in her hands, then came up to me, sat beside and put her head on my shoulder. Okay, I believe you. If you say so, then let it be. At that moment, I felt perfect happiness. It doesn't matter that a week ago I was in a completely different world, living another life. All of that is gone, and now it seemed to me like something wild or alien. I don't even understand how I could consider that normal. Now I am less concerned about how and by whose will all this happened. Now I'm not looking for answers. Why would I, when they are all right here in front of me? Now I have a long road ahead, hand in hand with the person I love. And looking back makes no sense. I could sit there forever, not noticing the time, but Slavya finally looked at the clock and gently whispered in my ear. It's time. Yes, exactly. You go to the bus stop, and I'll run to the camp leader's cabin to get my things. You are so disorganized. You should have gathered them in advance, laughed Slavya. I don't have much to pack anyway. I leaped out of the house and ran towards Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. The camp leader stood on the threshold, apparently waiting for me. I thought you wouldn't come. I didn't reply, just bundled inside, packed my winter clothing into a bag and ran out. Come on already, it's time. In a minute we stood at the bus stop, together with the other pioneers. Everyone here? Began Olga Dmitrievna. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope that you'll remember the time you spent here for a lifetime and that you'll retain only pleasant memories about Sovyanok. I also hope that you became at least a little bit better, managed to learn something and found new friends. Just come back next year. I can't believe it turned away. It seemed she was trying to hold back her tears. I didn't expect her to get so emotional, but I completely agreed with everything she said. Perhaps it was the first time that I didn't turn a deaf ear to her. I think I'll miss this camp. And even Olga Dmitrievna. Although, if this is the start of a new life, then why not come back here one more time? Oh, it's night right away here. Sovyanok was far behind. The week had passed like an instant and come to an end, but that was the beginning of something new, my new life in a new world. Together with Slavya, the moon was shining, making everything as bright as day. Beyond the bus windows, endless fields were passing, and occasion dressed up in grey but no less cheerful outfits, decorated in the distance with a dark green of the mighty forests. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I was enjoying the moment. Slavya and I were sitting in the last row, looking at the other pioneers. Ahead, Uliana was going wild. She was running through the cabin. The cabin? Why was she running? Okay. And shouting. Lena was reading a book and Alyssa was sleeping. Seems like the world is absolutely normal. And it doesn't really matter how I got here. If everything turned out so wonderfully, I became a different person. Met Slavya. What are you thinking about? Life? And how is it going? Just great. She laughed softly. You know, let it wait a little. The bus is rocking me to sleep. I will take a nap if you don't mind. Sure, go ahead. She rested her head on my shoulder and soon fell asleep. The imminent arrival at the district center and a new chapter in my life didn't worry me at all. When you are on the top of the world, small things don't bother you. Therefore, I fell asleep as soon as I felt tired, with no fear of anything. And now, the next epilogue begins. Let's see here, yeah. So I'll see you guys real soon. The snowfall grew stronger, but now it was a real snowstorm. Midnight. Will my carriage turn into a pumpkin in a few moments? Maybe the return from Sovyanok is the end of my own version of the Cinderella tale. Even so, is it really a bad end? Why? Any tale contains at least a bit of truth. I remembered Slavya, stood up, shook off the snow and went slowly into the night. I felt no sorrow, had no regrets. Right, so he's still happy in this ending. He's still choosing to be happy. He's still influenced by Slavya. Maybe all this is just another episode of that tale, that warming dream which I wanted so much to continue. Why can't it repeat if it happened once already? And what if I met Slavya in reality? Which he never did. Oh, was that the only difference? Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its outline, synopsis, contents, key points, a prologue and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. And that is the good and the bad ending for the Slavya path. So yeah, now we've gone through all the four main girls. We have Miku left, and then there is a special girl after that. Well, a special girl comes even after that, but that is not part of the main game, you know. So we have two girls left and then one actually special. But yeah, like I said here at the very end, he's still getting his personality infused with the other girls. Alyssa still made him want to get a hobby. Uliana still made him want to have friends. Lena made him want to... what did Lena do? Oh no, okay, no, that was actually a bad ending. Lena made him so obsessed, made him, oh shit. It made him realize that he possibly have bipolar something, and he actually took his life. So that was actually a bad ending. And Slavya, he still chose to be happy. But the only bad thing, except for Slavya, was that he didn't get to be with the girl in the end. That is the bad ending. So that's interesting. Nothing except for Lena is actually bad. So that's, yeah, intriguing. But I think that is mostly because visual novels in general usually have a good and bad endings at this point. I'm not sure if they have like only good endings back in these days. I don't know actually. But yeah, all the good and the bad endings have been played out now. Next week, in the next video, we're starting with Miku, and after that we're going for the last one. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye everyone.